Hey everybody, welcome to One More Round with Josh Norris. I'm super excited to have Elliot with me today. Elliot's founder and CEO of Coffee Commercial Development and the founder and CEO of Greenberg and Family Company. So he has Sweetwaters Coffee and Tea, which is what we are enjoying right now. Appreciate you bringing this.
Cheers.
And so a lot of good stuff. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you get this information firsthand. Oh, welcome, man. Good to see you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. We met in Arete, which is super cool. I had to take a little sabbatical from that while I was out sick for a minute, but it's great to get back. I think my first meeting back was the first Monday of the month.
Yep.
So you got a lot going on, a lot of cool things.
Yeah, same with you.
How on earth did you get into the coffee shop business or construction and all this?
Well, the construction is brand new. It kind of came out of a brainchild of what we were doing. As far as the coffee business, I had, for a very long time, I've been an employee for somebody else, and I've always wanted to go into business for myself. Mm-hmm. And about 4 years ago, I convinced my father to actually be my business partner. And so we went down the road of, I was looking at pretty much every franchise that was already out there that I had some kind of interest in. And in the Arizona market, as fast as we were growing, all the big names that you want to get into, it's either too expensive to buy in or they don't want to talk to you because you've never done it before, or they're completely sold out, which is what a lot of them were. And so what I ended up finding out was a lot of them, you either get in the ground floor and then you're one of the few families or businesses that gets to take part of the expansion as success happens, or you don't get in at all, unless somebody is like, hey, I'm ready to sell off, and that's it. And so we looked at doing, we were interested in doing a car wash where we could do the tunnels, we could do the self-cleaning. We found a site where they had the old self-wash that you would do yourself, and then at the same time they had an old tunnel that needed to be done. But we just, with all the negotiations and all the demolition and construction that would have needed to be done, and this is 4 years ago before, I couldn't even imagine the prices today, but we just couldn't financially make it work. Yeah. And so that kind of got put on the back burner. I had a friend of a friend who was in the coffee business, and he was kind of teetering on bringing people in as a franchise to expand his own brand. And so we were interested in pursuing that. We looked at some numbers, and he just kind of got cold feet a couple of times. But it kept the idea of like learning a little bit about the business and tasting a product that was better than, the big boy that's out there. Yeah. And so eventually, what I was doing for work is essentially being a middleman. So I, as a full-time employee, I provided consultants to hospital systems around the country. And so I'm like, okay, I'm a middleman. There has to be a middleman for franchises, because I was calling all the ones that you could find that were out there, and I couldn't find anything. Long story short, I found a broker, and he introduced us. We had a great conversation. We talked about what we were interested in, what our budget was, what things would pique our interest, and he brought a handful of different ideas to the table. And we went through them one by one and kind of isolated what was an absolute no and what we want to explore a little bit more on.
Were they all coffee shop related franchises?
No. Well, this was the only coffee. There was a salon boutique, which is like essentially your landlord.
Yeah, like a Phoenix
like
salon.
a Phoenix salons or a solo salon, things like that. That's actually an amazing business model that I do actually want to get into at some point, because I've looked at the numbers again and it's
pretty good.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then there were a handful of different things that we kind of looked at, and one of them was Sweetwaters Coffee and Tea. And so I love doing research. And so I'm researching everything that we even have a peak of interest in. And I keep reading more and more about this brand that's starting to franchise and the reviews and everything about the philosophy of the founders and what they were trying to do and the products that they were putting forward. They were completely aligned with us. And so we went through a couple of months of discussion because you're getting on the ground floor. And so, with that comes the opportunity to be innovative, right? And be able to share ideas, and also to make sure that like we would have been, all the franchisees previously, they were non-drive-through locations because the brand is out of Michigan, and where they are is the college town.
Okay.
And so they never had drive-throughs. Well, out here you either have a drive-through or
you don't have business. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had to have these conversations like, hey, is this something that you're willing to go down the road on and explore? And they said yes. And so we moved down that road. And from that time, and signing the agreement, came every possible road bump that you could run into. Yeah. But after going out there and tasting the product and meeting the founders, it was like, okay, like this is who we want to go and build the business with, and then it was figuring everything else out from that point. And then we can kind of go into the commercial part, as we go down the road.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing this with your dad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's it like working with your dad?
Love it.
Yeah.
It's like my best friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I got two best friends. I got my wife, who I've been with since we were 15 years old. So her and I grew up together.
Nice.
And then I got my dad, and he's just he's hilarious. And so it's actually, we have some contentious moments.
Sure.
But other than that, like it's been a lot of fun.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, are you very similar, or are you very different, to where you bring different strengths to the table?
So his background is more on the finance side. So he worked on Wall Street for over 20 years, doing mortgage-backed securities. And so his financial acumen is far superior than mine. But as far as I'm the go-getter.
Yeah.
Like, and he put me as a CEO when we were setting up the organization, because I've been the one kind of driving everything. I'm in Arte, I'm in Apex, I'm in the different groups. I've read every single franchise book that is out there, trying to learn from some of the pitfalls, because we're on the ground floor, and all these books of different franchises that are out there, they're all about the beginning of how the brand started, whether it be Wendy's or In-N-Out or McDonald's, whatever the case may be. And it just gets your wheels going, and then just the studying of the entrepreneurship like you, and getting around other like-minded people is driving ideas on how to move it forward. And it's we bring different things to the table, but we make the decisions together based on a good group decision. And then we also brought our general manager in as a business partner, so we gave her 5% straight out of sweat equity of Greenberg and Family. And same with our assistant manager, he has 3% of the business. And she has 25 years of restaurant experience managing Olive Gardens and BJ's Breweries and Wildflower Cafes. So we never had restaurant experience.
Yeah.
And so bringing her
crucial
in,
to have.
right?
Yeah.
So bringing her in and making crucial and critical decisions with her as a true business partner, because I want her to win as much as I want me to win, has truly helped the business in so many different ways, where that's actually why we've become the highest performing Sweetwaters Cafe in America.
No kidding.
Yeah, and we've only been open since October of 2020.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so for those of you in Arizona, where's the location at?
Ring Tree in the 101 in Scottsdale.
Yeah, this is delicious. I mean, we were talking a little bit before about your own blend and stuff, but
Thank you.
and I've had a lot of coffee in
Yeah.
my life. In fact, I had to take a break from coffee because
Uh-huh.
it caused some heart issues about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Not my heart failure.
Right.
It was AFib, but I now can have a cup a day. So this
Yes.
is my cup
Cheers.
today.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. So tell me about the blend a little bit. Like, how did you help pick that out, or is that Sweetwater?
No. So like every franchise, the corporate office gets to control everything. As far as the drinks, the food that we all brought in, it's the same throughout the country. The blend is the same. The brand has been around for 30 years, so they've been perfecting everything over this period of time, and they started franchising about 4 years ago. What has been really fun is on the innovation side, we've been able to bring different ideas to the table that have helped the brand. And I go into this, most franchisees are going into it, with the idea of, okay, I want 1 or 2 locations and I'm just going to operate this. I'm coming into this, even though we're not the founders, with the true entrepreneurial mindset. So, the brand wasn't really doing a lot of SEO. So I ended up finding a book by a guy named Eric Schellenberg who lives in Scottsdale.
Okay.
I read his book on restaurant SEO because that's all he does. And we met, and he's been doing a great job. He's been doing such a great job that after a year, the brand, because again, the way that I kind of go about doing things is, hey, like, I got this great idea, and this is why I think it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
And let me be the guinea pig, and I'll share the data throughout the entire period of time. And so we started doing that very early on with the franchise when we saw, because again, like, the brand is still at a point where it's extremely nimble, right? And so I'm all about adding value, not just for my location, but if it's going to work for me, it's going to work for every other location, right? And I just want the brand to win.
Well, and that's a really good innovative thing because that's external. It's not messing with anything in the business, but it's how you get more business there. And for those of you who don't know what SEO is, search engine optimization, the reason it's extremely important in this case is proximity and showing up the map section in your Google My Business, because when you're looking for a coffee shop, and if somebody's searching for coffee, they're not searching for a Starbucks unless they typed in Starbucks. Or if they're new to the area and they're looking for something that's more of a local coffee shop feel, they're going to search it.
Right.
And if you don't come up in the maps...
If you don't come up, you don't exist.
Yep.
And so beforehand, we didn't exist. And without having a name in the area, it was like we were an unknown. And now we're the highest rated coffee shop within 5 miles of my shop, which is a big deal. I haven't searched out 10, but our scores are phenomenal.
How do you get reviews, for example, for your coffee shop? I mean, because there's ways to do it the right way, and then there's some people that just
Ours are organic.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 100% organic. And so it's really just based on providing the customer an amazing wow experience.
Yeah.
And them going out there and taking the time. I mean, in the beginning, when we would have regulars come in, I would walk over. I'd always ask. I talk to everyone, right? I love being at the cafe. And so I talk to them and I ask them, what's your experience been like? How is things going? And when they tell me and I know them enough, I say, hey, would you mind going onto Google? It's really, it would really help us if you wrote a review about what your real experience. And I always stress, I want it to be real. I'm not like asking you to put something kind of phony in there.
Yeah.
I, like you're in here every day would really help us grow the business. But other than that, with the few people that I've asked that have actually been real customers, it's all organic. And like I said, highest rated coffee shop, and it's just by doing things the right way, right? Our customer service is amazing. The products that we're using, they taste great. They're the highest quality that we could find. There's a ton of care in everything that we do. And I respond to every single review. And if we have very few negative reviews, but if we do, I put my phone number on there. On the review, I reply to everything regardless. And then I give them my cell phone number because I care and I want them to call. Not a single person is called, but it's there if they want to.
Yeah.
Just so I could take corrective action, because we're never going to be perfect, but we're always looking to get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. And it sounds like, by doing the right thing, that's helped that grow. So you said you started 2020 October.
Yeah.
So this is maybe about 6 months into the pandemic at
Yeah.
this point in time. How are you navigating that, opening a brand new business? And
Thank God we had a drive-through.
yeah.
That was probably 75% of our business. That was extremely stressful. I partnered with AZ Foodie to help me with the launch. We did a lot of advertising. We printed thousands of flyers to be able to drop off. Because again, nobody knew during the pandemic when people were going to go back to work, when anything. So we were getting ready. And so, we went to every business because our office or our cafe is in the air park.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has the second highest daytime proximity in the state for daytime population.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why we took the location, because it's not on the main road, it's inside of the center.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but where we're located, all the businesses filter into my center because everything is in there.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Starbucks in there, a Dunkin' in there, a pizza shop, 2 pizza shops, 3 pizza shops, barbecue, wings. I mean, you name it. If it's food in there, it's in there. And so this is where all the businesses, employees will go for breakfast and lunch. Anyways, they've been empty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have been building our business successfully without those employees being there. And that has been really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of the businesses, those companies must have gone work from home permanently because those employees never came back. Vanguard, who has an office across the street from us that has 4,000 employees, they're coming back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They just started coming back, and we've been seeing some additional growth from that. So we've never even really tapped into the true potential of what this business is, and it takes time.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I found is just changing people's habits takes a lot longer than you think it is, even if you do have a superior product. But opening during the pandemic, it was stressful, it was challenging, and it was just one of those things that you just gotta keep pushing and praying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's. My podcast is named One More Round for a reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to get up a little, woozy and put your dukes up and go after it again. Can be stressful.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about that. I'm like, dang, man, he was 6 months into the pandemic and opened a location, which, obviously it's turned out well. And so, what's your goal for expansion?
30 locations throughout the state.
Oh, very cool.
So currently, we own the state of Arizona. Pretty much every other state in the country has handfuls of franchisees that are in there. But because of the innovation that we've brought to the table, the SEO and
The drive-through.
the drive-through, but there's lots of other things inside of the cafe that we have done, and then we share these ideas, and they've been pushed out to all the other franchisees because it works. I built a really strong relationship with the founder of the company, Lisa B, and she's amazing, and based on how big we're thinking, I'm like, and essentially she said, look, if you deliver on what you're saying that you're going to do, and we already can see what you're doing as far as performance and doing things the right way as far as the brand goes, then it's yours. Now, at the same time, if I don't execute, it's not going to be like that because this brand has to grow. So I am determined. We're already working on number 2. I'm raising money for 3 and 4 as we speak, and it's just navigating this new road for us.
So are you then looking for investors, or are you raising capital that's more private funding?
Well, investors, but I don't know how we're going to go about doing it. So I've reached out to a bunch of mutual friends of ours. Some people have talked about creating a fund. That is an SEC fund where we can go out there. I've raised about $550,000 from two different people inside of Arte that were interested when I made my introduction to the group. They asked what we were doing, blah, 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 and we had a conversation. And then one of our regulars actually, she wanted to be part of the expansion, and she said she had $250 to invest because she's an angel investor. And so it's not on the Sweetwater side, it's on the commercial development side, and that's how we're able to execute the returns for them that are like really good.
Awesome. Okay.
Really good.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep in touch on that because there might be some opportunities and some introductions. You know, as you're looking for them.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So, you said you've been married or with your wife since you were 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Long Island, New York. She grew up in Buffalo, New York, and we met on vacation in Jamaica when we were 15 and 16.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and from what I understand, like Buffalo and you said we're Long Island. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
different. They're not the same. New York.
No, we just happened to be at the same resort, but close enough where it was an 8-hour drive or what is it? Like a 1-hour flight.
Yeah.
And so you're in high school. There's no FaceTime at that time. There's long distance is crazy expensive. So I'm working at Michael's and Bed Bath & Beyond to be able to pay for calling cards to call my girlfriend, and then plane tickets to go and fly out and see her once every other month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And how many kids do you have?
One. We have a 12-year-old son.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Is he
he's a
into
good
sports?
Or
music or?
He did BMX for a really long time, and then he got injured. And we've been doing racing over at Octane. And now he wants to do like real outdoor go-kart racing. So we're looking into buying a go-kart right now.
Oh, fun.
One of the ones that goes, 65, 70 miles an hour. And
yeah.
They got a nice track out in Phoenix, and like it's serious stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've heard about that, like, and how fast they go. Because there's a, I don't know if it's still around, but Bondurant Racing.
Yep.
They had the go-karts there.
We did it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we did it. So they have there's different levels, but we did the shifter carts, and those things go 90 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and they go from 0 to like 70 in like 2 seconds. So that's not what he's going to be driving.
Yeah.
He'll be driving a junior kart, but they still do 65 to 70 miles an hour depending on what you do. They got to wear fire suits. They got to wear and it's on a real outdoor track. And then if he really enjoys it, then we would do a little bit of traveling with it, which we were traveling around the state when he was doing BMX, and that was a lot of fun. So doing it with the go-kart racing would be fun because, when we go to Octane and he's doing the racing, he's kicking every adult's butt. Like he's talented.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it's cool.
That's such a neat thing. I didn't even know go-kart racing was like a sport that you could get into. I'm gonna have to mention this to my middle son because he's 10 and he wants to build cars. He wants everything to do with cars.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit more of an adrenaline junkie than my
Your
older
other two.
son. And yeah.
So the cart's brand new, 5 to 7.
Okay.
And then you can find a used one. I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now I think about it. So my wife grew up racing cars.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, my in-laws, they grew up in basically the sticks of California in the Mojave Desert. But my father-in-law was into racing, and they would build these cars and you go out and race it. Well, then Jess got into it, and she did it I think for a couple years in high school, and so I think he's got that, and she's got a lead foot in a regular car too.
In a regular,
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
cool.
awesome, man.
That's awesome.
So what is else on the horizon? How can people, find more information about your commercial development, or is that something that's going to be in the future that they could reach out?
Well, so the way that the commercial development came about essentially is we started running numbers for other Sweetwaters locations, right? And what it would cost to either build the building, and then what it's going to cost if somebody else leases us a building, right? And you're just looking at costs on what a loan is going to cost and what it's going to cost if somebody else does it for you, right? And just logically, it just makes more sense for us to go out and buy the land and build our own building. Now, one of the other things, again, it comes down to building this rapport with the founders and being innovative, is we told them, look, we want to build a freestanding drive-through location at the right location. So we are the second location that I'm working on and in the middle of purchasing right now, the land. That's going to be the first freestanding Sweetwaters in the country.
Oh.
So they're trusting us with this. We're working with the architects, our architects, corporate architects, everyone, to make sure that this thing executes and looks and operates exactly the way that it should. And the interior line, because essentially that's what you're building, to be able to make sure that the flow and speed is optimal, is going to be a little bit different from a traditional cafe. And my team is the one that designed that. And my assistant manager is talented. He's going to school for programming and CAD work. And so he CAD'd out what they wanted to do as far as the interior.
Yeah.
And then we presented that to the architect, and then he took that, and we got on the call with the founder and the architect, and we talked through why we wanted to do it the way that we did, and we made some additional tweaks of things people didn't think about. But essentially, we're bringing this whole design, and they're bringing the exterior to the table, and it's something that both of us have put together to build the first of a brand. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trust on us. So, but there's a lot of money to be made on the investment side, right? So I'll give you an example of the project that we're working on right now. So this project to build this building is going to cost us about $1.5 million. $720,000 for the land, about $150,000 for our equipment that's needed, and then the remaining cost is the building, and it's also the actual site work, which is the parking lot, the paving, the lighting, everything that needs to be done on the outside of the building, right? Well, Greenberg and family, which owns and operates all the Sweetwaters, is essentially signing a lease to Coffee Commercial Development. And then Coffee Commercial Development is going to take that lease and sell it to an investor that buys triple net properties.
Okay.
Well, that is going to be able to be sold for a bare minimum of $2.1 million. So we're able to get an SBA loan to go buy that. So we lay down around $250,000. When we sell it, we'll get our return of capital. And then on top of it, it's going to sell somewhere between 2.1 and 2.4. So either we're going to make $600,000 or we're going to make $900 to $1,000 or to $1 million plus get a return of capital. So that's the one way of doing it. And the benefit to me is most developers, when they go out there, they're speculating on who they're going to put as a tenant. But I am the tenant. So I've mitigated all the risks that this property is going to sit, right?
Yeah.
So I've created synergistic growth to be able to grow the Sweetwaters brand, because then I could take the profit and go buy another piece of land and go do the same thing. And at the same time open more locations. And now that location, after it's been sold, that location is bought and paid for debt free.
Wow.
Yeah. So we own that debt free.
Yeah.
And then all we have is the rent that now we're paying to the new landlord, and we just made $600,000 to $1 million.
Wow.
When we buy larger properties, which, it's tough to find a small property right now with the growth that we're experiencing. So with the larger properties, you're not talking about $600,000 to $1 million in profit. You're looking at somewhere closer to $2 to $2.5 to $3 million in profit, because you're not just going to build a Sweetwaters. You're going to build a Sweetwaters, and then you're going to also build an adjacent national tenant QSR, quick serve restaurant. So Jack in the Box, Habit Burger, Burger King, whatever the case
Rubio's
may be,
yeah.
whatever. But those, when you sell the Sweetwaters, instead of making money on the Sweetwaters as you would, you're not going to make any money, but you're also not, you're going to own the land debt free. So then when you put up that large national tenant, that guy, all you have is the cost for the building, and those guys sell for a lot more than I do. They'll sell for $3.5 to $4 million. And so now when you sell that building, that all you had, you didn't even need to lay out any additional costs for capital because the land had the equity. So when you pay off the debt that was to throw up their building and that building gets sold, that's all profit.
Where'd you learn all this?
I just figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant.
We literally just figured it out. Just running numbers and having conversations with brokers and this and going on LoopNet. I mean, this is just figuring this out and seeing what is actually happening, and then just putting the pieces together, and then just, it's constant questions, right? And then I really enjoy the due diligence process of going out, looking at land, evaluating, because the other key part about this whole thing that makes it work is that when I go and look at a property, I can't just go and look at a property and say, hey, is this actually going to work for me to make a lot of money as a developer? It also needs to be a killer location because I'm signing a 20-year lease to myself.
Yeah.
And then that is being sold off, right? And so it has to be so good that I want to be there, which means another national tenant is going to want to be there as well. And so, again, everything kind of works. And then as far as the investors go, you know, we want to be really fair. Like, I'm not in here to screw people over. If you're going to help me build, I want you to win. And I've had some conversations where people are like, dude, you are crazy. But what I want to do is I want to split the profit with the investors, 50-50. You know?
Yeah, I think that's
very
generous.
Fair.
Yeah.
And so, again, you know, you're bringing 100 to the table, and whatever the case may be, I'm hoping I could return that as $200,000, and the turnaround time is 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
So, you know, because I know that if I can do this the right way, and it's all 1031 money, there's a good chance you're going to want to keep that to grow. And then the long-term goal is to be able to turn that into a REIT.
A REIT?
Yeah, a real estate investment trust.
Oh, okay.
Where when there's enough capital from selling, where we're able to actually hold on to the properties and then just start collecting rent from Sweetwaters, and then also collect rent from the national tenants and build a real estate portfolio that eventually we can sell.
Yeah.
You know.
It's amazing. So my last question for you, you're in two pretty amazing coaching groups, the Arte Syndicate and Apex.
Yeah.
Have you always been into this? How did you get involved with these guys?
No. So I think Arte is 10 months and Apex is 4. But I have been, so about 5.5 years ago, like I was at a personal rock bottom, like not in a good place.
Yeah.
And I knew something needed to change, and so I found Tony Robbins, started studying Tony Robbins to change my life. Tony Robbins led to me searching YouTube for other Tony Robbins stuff, which led to Grant Cardone. Cardone led to getting obsessed with him, and then that leading to watching the 10X events. And Andy Frisella was on there, and Ed Milet was on there. And I just got like very addicted to self-development and listening to these guys. So then going through this self-development journey, it was, I listened to every single episode of the MF CEO, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And just, again, it became an obsession.
So you weren't always like this?
No, not like this at all. I've always been a really hard worker, but self-sabotage without even knowing what self-sabotage was.
Yeah.
Work really hard, think you deserve a break, take your foot off the gas. And so
the thermometer theory, or the
exactly.
thermostat.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. So a lot of yo-yo where I'd be the best performer sales guy to mediocre, and it just and got involved with a bad crowd 5.5 years ago, a little bit more than that, and like I said, 5.5 years ago, literally it was January 3rd of 2017 was the day that I started studying self-development, and that was it. Changed my life.
It's amazing. So, because I recommend it to anybody. I don't care how successful or unsuccessful somebody is. If they're unsuccessful, but they're reading, they're learning the right things, you can change your mind.
Absolutely.
People are like, oh, I can't change the way I am.
Yeah. You're wrong. But what I found is, so when I started going through this self-development change, and it was a drastic change. I remember having a ton of people coming over to me and be like, dude, what are you doing? And I would tell them, to the point that I actually built a roadmap. I built a book reading list, a podcast list, everything, because I had so many people coming over to me going like, what is going on?
Yeah. Because
everything was firing in my life the right way. And from the complete opposite. And I would tell them what they have to do, and that it was going to be hard, and that it was going to take a long time, but the universe would start delivering for you. And one after another, they would start doing it, and one after another, they would all stop.
Yeah.
And it was very unfortunate. So, like, this is something that you cannot stop doing.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
Constant learning, and especially with business. I mean, it's always changing and evolving, and if you're not keeping your mind sharp and taking care of the car, so to speak, which is how my partner puts it, then you can easily go backwards.
Yep.
So
100%.
Amazing, man. Well, this is great stuff, man.
Yeah.
You got some awesome business going on. I mean, the investment side, I think you're going to kill it with that. So
thank you, buddy.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, I know you got a lot out of this. Make sure you leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. This is what we want to bring on a weekly basis to you. So we appreciate it. We'll see you next time.